This is my belated 2020 Hatman Strats Back Boxing Awards. Like last year, there's 5 categories, but unlike last year, I didn't have a vote on the community page of my YouTube channel because I struggled to come up with 5 candidates for each category because, of course, there wasn't a lot of boxing in 2020 compared to 2019. Therefore, what I did instead is had a little private live stream with a few members of my Patreon page, and we came up with as many candidates as we could. Some of the categories didn't have 5 candidates, so I'm not going to be listing all the candidates. I'm just going to be telling you the winners, and at the back end of this video, I have attached a recording of the live stream. You can see all the comments from the chat box and what have you. But to give you a refresher of last year and who won in each category, it goes as follows. Upset of the year 2019 was Joshua Ruiz 1. Comeback of the year was Anthony Joshua. Knockout of the year was Wilder versus Brazil. Fight of the year was Spence versus Porter. And fighter of the year was Canelo Alvarez. So that was 2019. 2020 is as follows. And remember, I'm not going to read out all the candidates. I'm just going to read out the winners, and you'll hear, or you'll see and hear, my discussion with the people in the live stream at the back end of this video, and you'll see the other candidates and how we came to these particular winners. So the winner of Upset of the Year 2020 was Robert Helenius versus Adam Kalnacki. Now, there were several other upsets in 2020, but none of them genuinely shocked me and completely took me by surprise the way that Helenius Kalnacki did. Because Robert Helenius looked like he was on his last legs in his career. He'd been beaten by Dylan White, obviously, knocked out by Johan Duopa, even beaten by Gerald Washington, and no disrespect, who on earth gets beat by Gerald Washington? Let's be real. He got stopped by Gerald Washington. And that's somebody who Kalnacki blew out in 2 rounds. And I know boxing is rock, paper, scissors. It's chess is not checkers. It's styles make fights. I always come out with these cliches all the time myself. But nonetheless, that upset really surprised me. I did not think Robert Helenius would be the guy to take Adam Kalnacki's O. But he was. So that was the upset of the year for 2020. Helenius knocking out Kalnacki. Comeback of the year, Chocolatito Gonzalez. So, when he lost, a lot of people wrote him off at the time. He was obviously a long reigning champion. When he lost, people wrote him off. But he's managed to come back. He beat Cal Yafai. I think he fought twice in 2020. And again, you'll hear the discussion, which led to us, me and several members coming to the conclusion that Chocolatito was the comeback of the year for 2020. Now, I don't agree with all of the other guys on every category in terms of the winners. I was overruled once or twice. I allowed myself to be overruled a couple times. But you'll hear in those instances who I think should be the winner of a specific category, even though everybody else disagrees with me. So, next category, knockout of the year. Dylan White getting knocked out by Alexander Povetkin. Most people agreed. For me, that is definitely the knockout of the year. It came out of nowhere. It was against the run of play. Povetkin was down twice in the previous round. The guy's 40 or 41 years of age. It didn't seem like he could pull it out. It looked as though it was a foregone conclusion going into that 5th. Now, I know a lot of people say in retrospect, Povetkin was setting him up and he had him right where he wanted him. Yeah, anybody can say that in retrospect. The reality is he got dropped twice in the 4th. And I was actually surprised at how in control Dylan White seemed to be at that point. I expected it to be, not until late in the fight for Dylan White to possibly get a knockdown of Povetkin. I didn't think he'd be able to drop Povetkin early like that. That surprised me. And I did think Dylan White would get hurt and dropped against Povetkin. You remember I said it in my pre-fight video, but the way the knockout happened, just totally out of the blue, it took me off guard. So for me, that was knockout of the year. Again, it was a beautiful setup and it was a beautiful shot. And it will definitely be up there as one of the best knockouts of Povetkin's career. Will definitely be on his highlight reel. And he's got some great knockouts on the highlight reel. So knockout of the year, White versus Povetkin, or should I say Povetkin versus White. Next category, fight of the year. And the winner of this one was also White versus Povetkin. Okay, so there was some other candidates which you'll hear and see us talking about later on in the video. But 2020 was fairly slim pickings, and it ended up being White Povetkin as fight of the year. I mean, some people would have picked, let's say, Davis versus Santa Cruz, or even Baranchyk versus Zepeda. But, and of course, Baranchyk Zepeda, that went more rounds, didn't it, than White Povetkin? Correct me if I'm wrong. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below anyway. What your fight of the year was for 2020 and for all the other categories. Now, the final category is fighter of the year. And this is where I disagree with my Patreon members, because they felt like the fighter of the year was Teofimo Lopez. And I can understand why. He had a tremendous win over Vasyl Lomachenko. So I'm not dissing that choice at all. But for me personally, I felt like the fighter of the year for 2020 was Tyson Fury. I was tremendously impressed with the way he handled Deontay Wilder. I mean, bear in mind, Deontay Wilder is smaller than Tyson Fury, yes, in terms of weight, but in terms of height and reach, there's not that much in it. And if you consider what happened the first time around, where Tyson Fury got hit and dropped in the final round, and it looked like he might not get up. He was dropped, I think, in the 9th round as well. And he boxed his typical fight, which is moving around and being very elusive and tricky. To completely turn it on his head and go in there and stick it on Deontay Wilder. I mean, I thought that was just kidology when he said he was going to go from the opening bell and attack. Because Tyson Fury is always playing mind games, him and his dad. They're kind of masters at that. But he came out and did exactly what he said he was going to do. He stuck it on Deontay Wilder. And I was just massively impressed with the way he changed up his style and did something which, you know, certainly to me, to David Haye, to many other people, was counterintuitive. But he clearly knew what he was doing. His dad, John, clearly knew what he was doing. And it wasn't just the fact that he fought aggressively against the puncher, but he also came in very heavy. And this was another thing which concerned me, concerned David Haye and other people. They were thinking, we were all thinking, are you serious? You're going to come in heavy against Deontay Wilder? No, you're going to need the speed to make sure that he can't get you with the right hand. As I say, they knew what they were doing, and they went out and executed it. Well, Tyson Fury did. And it was a tremendous performance. And for me, even though he only fought once in 2020, that was the most memorable performance, you know? And he obviously captured the WBC World Heavyweight title. I believe he's the Ring Magazine heavyweight champion as well. So that was the most memorable performance, because it was an elite level fight where a guy just went out there and totally dominated. Teofimo Lopez fighting Lomachenko. Yeah, Lomachenko is a better fighter than Deontay Wilder, no question about it. In terms of his resume, what he's done, multiple weight divisions and stuff like that. But he didn't have the height and reach on Lopez. Lopez had a big advantage in terms of height and reach, natural size, physical strength. You could say the same for Tyson Fury on Wilder in terms of, a little bit of height, a little bit of reach, but a lot of body weight. But he didn't dominate Lomachenko the way that Tyson Fury dominated Wilder. So anyway, that's my case for why I think it's Tyson Fury rather than Teofimo Lopez. But I'm not dissing the choice of Lopez. There was also some other candidates for fighter of the year. Jamal Charlo was a candidate. Jamal Charlo also, because they both had great years. And again, you'll hear us talk more about that later on in the video. So I'll leave that there. Those were the 5 winners for 2020. Give me your winners for each category in the comments below. Upset of the year, comeback of the year, knockout of the year, fight of the year, and fighter of the year. All right. So I'll leave you with the live stream that I did the other day. All right. So the categories are, and there's 5 categories, same as last year. Upset of the year, comeback of the year, knockout of the year, fight of the year, and fighter of the year. So let's start off with upset of the year. What were the biggest upsets, or what were the upsets? Because there obviously wasn't that much boxing in 2020. So what upsets were there that we can consider for this particular category? What upsets happened in 2020? Off the top of my head, I can't even think of any. God, what happened in 2020? Was Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur an upset? Could that go in there as a nomination? Okay, yeah, Loma versus Lopez. It was somewhat of an upset, I guess, yeah. I think Lomachenko was a favorite in that, so we'll definitely put that in there. Loma versus Lopez. Oh, White, of course. Thank you. Yes, White Povetkin. That was definitely somewhat of an upset. We'll put that one down there. Jay says Teofimo beating Loma was a bit of an upset considering the odds were huge in favor of Loma. So any more nominations for upset of the year? Can you guys think of anything else? Weren't there some upsets once boxing resumed, other than Dylan White getting knocked out by Povetkin? Boxmind says, was White a favorite or was that 50-50? Well, it all depends on every person's individual perspective. Devin said, my mind's gone black. Mine too. That's why I needed you guys to help me, because I can't even think of these by myself. Lee Selby's loss. Who did Lee Selby lose to? I remember him losing, but who was it? Can't even remember who he lost to. Upset of the year so far: Lomachenko, Lopez, White, Povetkin. Lee Selby against who? 2020 was such a dead year all round, but okay, he lost to Kambosos. Thank you. Was that really an upset? I know Kambosos was seen as tough. Yeah, it was shocking to see Fury walk down Wilder. Not an upset, but the method was surprising 100%. All right, we can't think of many more for upset of the year, so let's move on to comeback of the year. Who made the comeback of the year for 2020? Again, you're going to have to rack your brains, fellas. What comebacks happened in 2020? I'm trying to go through the weight categories. Well, Povetkin's got to be in there, innit? For comeback of the year. Povetkin has to be a nomination for that. So let's put Povetkin down. Oh yeah, Errol Spence, of course, because of the terrible car crash and what have you. So Povetkin, Spence, who else? I'm trying to think from the top down. Heavyweight, you had Povetkin, made a comeback. Did anybody make a comeback at cruiserweight? Chocolatito. Okay. Did he actually fight in 2020 though? Chocolatito. Who did Chocolatito fight in 2020? Who did he actually fight? Okay, so cruiserweight. Who was about a cruiserweight? Miraspridis beat Dorticos. Light heavyweight. What was happening at light heavyweight? Beterbiev, he didn't get out in 2020, did he? Bivol, did he get out? Not really much happened at light heavyweight. Who did Carl Frampton beat? Box Minds. For him to have the comeback of the year in 2020. Now, I can't remember Carl Frampton fighting. So, comeback of the year so far: Povetkin, Spence, Chocolatito, possibly, but who did he fight? Okay, was that definitely in 2020? Cal Yafai against Gonzalez. Was that 2020? I think that might have been 2019. Are you sure? I swear that was 2019. Oh, you just checked. Okay. So we can have Chocolatito beating Cal Yafai. All right, February 29th. All right, so we've only got 3 nominees for each category so far. So let's move on to knockout of the year and try and have at least 3 nominees for this. So knockout of the year 2020. White Povetkin has got to be there. That was a hell of a knockout. What else for 2020 knockout of the year? Liam Williams. Who did he beat in 2020? I can't remember Liam Williams fighting in 2020. I remember the last time I saw him in the ring was he knocked somebody out in 1 round, didn't he? Who is it that he knocked out in 1 round? Garcia Campbell. Well, that was this year. Garcia Campbell was 2021. Joshua Pulev. Okay, we'll put that there. So White Povetkin, Joshua Pulev. Oh, Davis Santa Cruz. Yeah, that's definitely got to be there for knockout of the year. So we got Davis. All right, White Povetkin, Joshua Pulev, Davis Santa Cruz. Baranchek got blasted out in a war. Did I see that fight? I might have seen a fight. So Baranchek, oh yeah, I did see it. Baranchek got knocked out by Zepeda. Is that who knocked him out? I think I only saw highlights of that. I vaguely remember something about Baranchek. Jake Paul. I mean, we could put that in there for the joke of it. What's the name of the guy that he fought? I can't even remember the guy's name. Some basketball player. White Povetkin, Joshua Pulev, Davis Santa Cruz, Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next category. Unless anybody can think of another contender for knockout of the year. Next one is fight of the year. What was the fight of the year for 2020? There must have been some good fights. Surely. I seem to remember good fight. You know those Eddie Hearn backyard shows, Fight Camp. There was some good fights on Fight Camp. I just can't remember what they were now. Yeah, Povetkin White has definitely got to be on the list for sure. So we'll put that down. Povetkin White, what else? What other fights were there in 2020? Good fights. Memorable fights. Just keeping an eye on the temperature. You guys know I ain't lying. Look. 75 degrees. We're okay at the moment. So once it gets into the 80s, it starts getting a bit sticky. Tank Santa Cruz. Yeah, that was a good fight. We could definitely put that down. Chisora Usyk. I mean, was that really a great fight? A couple people suggesting it. It was okay. You know, all right, we'll put it down because there wasn't that many fights or great fights that happened in 2020. So we'll put it down. I mean, some of you guys must have watched somebody else's, 2020 boxing awards. We'll have to steal some nominees from someone else's list. So far for fight of the year, it's White Povetkin, Davis Santa Cruz, Chisora Usyk. But then we also have to put Baranchek, right? Helenius Kaunaki, Conor Ben. Who did Conor Ben fight? Oh yeah, no, I do remember it now. I do remember it. Yeah. I remember all those knockdowns. Yeah, I do remember it now. I only vaguely remembered it at first, but I actually remember it now. Yeah, that fight had loads of knockdowns. Most of the knockdowns weren't particularly devastating, but like the final knockdown or the knockout was. So I remember that. Helenius could be the biggest upset too. Okay, yeah, we forgot to put that there actually, because that was quite a big upset. Helenius Kaunaki, no doubt. Box Mind says Fabio Wardley's KO against Latte. All right, and finally, Fighter of the Year. Who can we nominate for Fighter of the Year? Surely Tyson Fury's got to be on there for his performance against Wilder. Who else? Fighter of the Year. Lopez, no doubt. Dethroning Lomachenko. Any other nominees? Canelo Alvarez. I mean, did Alvarez knock out Kovalev this year? Well, that was last year, wasn't it? When he knocked out Kovalev. Jamel Charlo. Yeah, Jamel Charlo. Now, Jamal Charlo. Jamal, the one who beat Thingy at middleweight. Derevenchenko. And he did a great job. Yes, Jamal. But who's Jamel for? You're saying Jamel should be nominated for Fighter of the Year, but who's he fought in 2020? Because Jamal beat Derevenchenko, and that was a great performance. That was a real good performance. Oh, of course. Excuse me. Yeah. Jamel fought Rosario and unified 3 belts. Thank you. So they both had good years. That was on the same card, wasn't it? Okay, so we got Tyson Fury, Teofimo Lopez, Jamel and Jamal Charlo, Joe Joyce. Hey, Joe Joyce could go down as one of the upsets of the year as well, because Daniel Dubois was quite a big favorite to beat him. I know a lot of people on YouTube picked Joe Joyce, but in terms of the bookies odds, we could still put that as one of the upsets of the year. So yeah, let's put that down. Joyce versus Dubois, no doubt. Breedis Dorticus, I mean, he had a good year, but was it good enough for him to be fighter of the year? Maris Breedis. Tank Davis, he beat Santa Cruz, a little guy. Is that enough for him to be fighter of the year? I don't think he's up there with the Tyson Furies and the Lopezes and the Charlos. We could put him down, but it's really just making up numbers. Breedis, who is there? Like super middleweight. Canelo, who did Canelo actually fight? Canelo only fought Smith, didn't he? In 2020. He only had 1 fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lil Noosh says Deontay Wilder deserves it. Let's have a look at who Canelo fought. Okay, yeah, just a single fight in 2020 against Smith. The Kovalev fight was lit last year, November to be precise. All right, I guess that's it. So, upset of the year: Lopez Loma, White Povetkin, Selby Cambosis, Helenius Kalnaki, and Joyce Dubois. Who you guys got for upset of the year? Lopez Loma, White Povetkin, Selby Cambosis, Helenius Kalnaki, or Joyce versus Dubois? Jay says, Hatman, what about trainer of the year? Now, I'm only doing 5 categories, same as last year. Right, so Little Now says Joyce. Okay. Boxmire says Joyce. What are you saying, Henry? Devin? Lopez Loma, White Povetkin, Selby Cambosis, Helenius Kalnaki, or Joyce Dubois? Okay, Devin's going with Helenius Kalnaki. Jay's going with Teofimo. What am I going to go with? It's a tough one, you know, because Boxmine says trainer of the year is pointless. It would go to David Hay. I mean, upset of the year is tough because Helenius Kalnaki, that definitely surprised me. Maybe I should pick Helenius Kalnaki then, because that was one which I genuinely did not see coming. With Lopez Loma, you know, people thought that Lopez had a decent chance. I know the bookmaker said something different, but a lot of people were saying, Lopez might be a bit big for him and so on. So it wasn't, it was surprising, but it wasn't shocking. White Povetkin was shocking because of the manner of the knockout, but I had a feeling going in that Dylan White was going to get dropped in that fight at the very least. Selby Cambosis, I really wasn't up to speed on what both guys were doing in their careers, so that didn't shock me. Joyce Dubois, again, that was a very interesting fight, interesting outcome. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Helenius Kalnaki. I'm going to have to go with that because I was shocked. I did not see that coming. Helenius had been beaten by, you know, Jarrell Miller, Dylan White. He even got beat by Gerald Washington. I mean, who the hell gets beat by Gerald Washington? Okay, so yeah, upset of the year. I'm going to have to go with Devin. And who else picked that as upset of the year? But that's what I'm going with. I'm going with upset of the year, Helenius Kalnaki. No doubt. All right, comeback of the year, Povetkin, Spence, or Chocolatito? What are you guys saying? I'm going to say it's a toss-up for me between, I mean, it's real close. It's real close. Spence coming back from a terrible car crash. That's a real close one. That's real close. I still kind of want to pick Povetkin because at 41 years of age, you know, to do what, I know it wasn't a world title fight or anything, but he literally was getting the brakes beat off him in that 4th round. And he came back and won it with 1 shot, you know. Okay, Little Now says Chocolatito because he had 2 fights. Box Mind says Chocolatito. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Devin says Spence. So we got 2 for Chocolatito, 1 for Spence. Okay, 2 for Spence. So we got a tie. 2 for Spence, 2 for Chocolatito. All right, I guess that means that I won't be picking Pavek. I mean, I don't know. It's so close between them all, but I'm gonna let you guys influence me here. Spence or Chocolatito? I'm gonna go with Spence. All right, so we've got Spence. Oh, okay. Devin has switched up. He's switched up and he's changed it to Chocolatito. So that's 3 for Chocolatito. All right, Chocolatito it is then. So Chocolatito was the comeback of the year. Okay, knockout of the year. White Povetkin, Joshua Pulev, Davis Santa Cruz, or Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. I know which one I'm going for, and that's definitely White Povetkin. But that's just me. What are you guys saying? White Povetkin, Joshua Pulev, Davis Santa Cruz, or Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson? Yeah, that's 2 for White Povetkin. 3 for White Povetkin. Lil Now says Tank because I've never seen Santa Cruz hurt bad. Okay, Mike also says Povetkin White. Yeah, it was brutal when it came out of nowhere. Indeed. Okay, all right. I guess we're going to have to pick White Povetkin as the knockout of the year for 2020. Next category, fight of the year. Again, White Povetkin is one of the nominees for that. Davis Santa Cruz, Chisora Usyk, and Baranchyk versus Zepeda. Now for me, I'm going to say maybe Davis Santa Cruz, White Povetkin. They were both very good fights. I think they're both better than Chisora versus Usyk. Baranchyk versus Zepeda was a good fight as well, though. Loads of knockdowns. So what are you guys saying? Lil Now says Baranchyk versus Zepeda. Fight of the year. White Povetkin, Davis Santa Cruz, Chisora Usyk, or Baranchyk Zepeda. I find that real tough to pick as well, because Davis Santa Cruz was a real good fight. Baranchyk Zepeda was a real good fight. White Povetkin was I mean, they're all good fights. You might have to say Davis Santa Cruz. That's probably the front runner for me, is Davis Santa Cruz. Henry Atkins says White Povetkin. I definitely hear that. Davis Santa Cruz was like a more high energy fight than White Povetkin, you know? Obviously, they're little guys. They're throwing a lot of shots. And okay, so we got pretty much unanimous here. People saying White Povetkin. I guess that's the fight of the year. Dylan White versus Alexander Povetkin. I'm sure Dylan will be happy about that, even though he was on the wrong side of a knockout. Okay, final category. I know what I'm picking. And you guys know already who I'm picking for the final category. Fighter of the year. Tyson Fury, Teofimo Lopez, Jamal Charlo, or Jamel Charlo. Who's fighter of the year? Devin Sinclair says Alan Babich. Lil Now says Lopez. What the rest of you saying? Fighter of the year. Who's it going to be? Tyson Fury, Teofimo Lopez, Jamel Charlo, or Jamal Charlo? All right, we got 2 for Lopez. Box Mind says Fury. I'm also saying Fury. Well, we got 3 to Lopez and 2 for Fury. So unless Henry says something different, I guess it's going to be Lopez. What's Henry Atkins saying? What's Jay saying? Fighter of the year. Tyson Fury, Teofimo Lopez, Jamel Charlo, or Jamal Charlo? So far, we got Lil Now saying Lopez, Devin Sinclair saying Lopez, Mike saying Lopez, Box Mind says Fury, Jay says Fury, and I say Fury. We need a tie break. So Henry, wherever you're at, what you saying? Oh, okay. Okay. So Lopez it is. I've been overruled. For me personally, it was Tyson Fury. While you guys are saying Lopez. So we're going to go with Lopez. So, upset of the year. Hellenius Kaunaki. Comeback of the year. Chocolatito Gonzalez, Knockout of the Year White Povetkin, Fight of the Year White Povetkin, and Fighter of the Year Teofimo Lopez. It's all good in the hood. If you'd like to access all my boxing content advert-free and enjoy the convenience of listening via a podcast app with the option to download in high-quality MP3, then consider joining me on Patreon. In addition to the aforementioned perks, you'll also gain access to exclusive weekly live stream Q&A sessions and hangouts, as well as uncensored, no-holds-barred uploads which are too blue for YouTube. This includes my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. We've also got a Discord server where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Boxing Extra. There's no contract, there's no commitment, it's only £2.50 a month and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of hardcore boxing enthusiasts by signing up with me here on Patreon today.